So the second pass through drawing should go a little bit quicker. I'd like to kind of have this go in the order that maybe I do the assembly. So if I was to set the base, then the pin slider, which would actually have been the pin driver. So I still have to correct that naming. So maybe we'll do that. And the pins, and then the support and the rods. So I don't want to get too crazy. There's not like a natural assembly progression here. So sometimes I'll look at it as, an instruction manual that if you set this piece and then put these pieces in, then this piece, then this, it'll build up and kind of pre-process some of that. So since sheet 10 ended up being the support, I can drag it. And maybe we'll place it over here at sheet 3. So sheet 2 is the base, sheet 3 is the pin, and then the support, the drive wheel. Let's see, the arm. Let's find one of the other pins and I'll put it. So if I was trying to make this in that kind of order, the other thing is when we're doing the sheet properties, if I wanted to name it, but I'd probably want to have a pretty good reason. A lot of times a sub-assembly, assembly, when it gets much above, say, 15 to 20 parts at the outside, it's growing too big. It can probably be condensed into another couple of sub-assemblies and made to be a little more efficient. So we kind of want to keep an eye. What happens is the sheets get a little bit taking over the bottom here. So sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since I know that that is sheet 9, I could rename it to S10, and then I would go through, right click, rename S9, and I can shorten up those names and end up with quite a few more tabs. And in the process, I'm putting them, even though they didn't start out in that order, they're pretty much going to follow the order that I'm setting for them. So S6, and then S5. You get the idea. All right, so going through that as a process, kind of organizing it. We're really not setting anything in stone here. So the next step would be to get some basic dimensions in place. Now, when we're going through the options, went through, and let's see, where is that at? If we go to model items, there are model items that come in, and I think it was probably more on the support that we saw that. So in our list of things that we can import, marked for drawing, well, we uncheck that, and a lot of our dimensions are in purple instead of black because they're not automatically marked for drawing. But this would be the place that if I had that notation, I'd want to check for it. So maybe something like the not marked for drawing, and let's go ahead and see what that gives. Just import from. All right, so we got a few of the dimensions. And notice it's converting from metric to standard. So let's jump over to that support. And in the annotation, model items, we'll just leave it for the marked for drawing. And maybe I didn't mark them. Okay, so we got some of the dimensions. Could probably lay that out a little bit better. The one that was the interesting dimension was from there to there. So I was going to see if it came over. And if I want to check that real quick, I can right-click, open the part. And we'll go into the to the boss extrude. So that one was highlighted. It was marked for drawing, but did not necessarily show up. So there's still some issue with the logic. So these are showing up as kind of a baseline dimension. Let's see where that attached at. So that actually attached at the midpoint, and that one attached at the midpoint. So that's kind of strange. And that one's on the offside. So as usual, I'm not real thrilled with my automatic import. So that being the case, I would rather just go into the annotations, pick up the smart dimension, start thinking about the things that I'm interested in, providing for the dimensions. And keep in mind that the crosshair for any of the center has a horizontal and a vertical component. So if you can't see it or grab it very easily, make sure to zoom up so that you're picking the vertical. Otherwise, the horizontal will just give you probably a 90 degree. So if I were to pick more toward that side, 90 degrees, more towards that side, a linear dimension. And then, since I'm not really using the layers and going to have that contrast at this stage, I'm going to forego going all the way across and maybe put the 2 times symbol or something along those lines. For the holes, then, we'll go back into the annotation and we'll see if they were done with the hole wizard. They should have depths and through notations. Not always, but sometimes it will pick up the boss base extrude. So if I move that up a little bit, one of the things we can do is window pick and right click, and in the display options we'll just tell it to center the dimensions on their extension lines. So keep in mind that this is the ISO standard. If you prefer to work in ANSI, then those are available. All right, so the right click and we'll come back over to the smart dimension. We already have that dimension. So for a height and then an overall, and a distance, really didn't give it. We gave it the point. No, I took the 0.79 off. So got to kind of think how I would want to utilize that. So if I go back into the annotations and pick a center line and pick the 2 sides, then I can kind of extend that out. So I think the 2018 standard moved away from using the symmetry or the CL. So really, what's going to be required here is the half dimension and then the full dimension. And we kind of did that with the center mark, but I don't know that we can make that assumption. So we would either need a dimension to the edge, which would be a physical measurement. That would probably be the safest. And we'll kind of place that there so that I can at least get a rough start with it. And then the stack up, if I did this number plus this number plus this number, that equals that number. So that would be a duplicate dimension on that side. So that redundancy is not going to help us. And then the smart dimension for the radius, and we could put a 2 times on that, and I jumped away before I could get the little box, so 2 times. Now if it comes up with you're modifying the dimension, you hit OK, or there's the don't show this again. I usually don't show this again. I know I'm modifying it, and if I don't like it, I will have to go back and fix it. Alright, so clicking on the dimension, you have the handles for the arrows inside, outside, and can place those dimensions. For our sizing then, let's get into the smart dimension. We'll have a diameters are diameters, radiuses are radiuses, and again that one with the 2 times. So if I were to, let's see where it's going to put that. So that's above it. and that doesn't look terrible. I don't know that it fulfills the standard as I'm used to it. So, and space-wise, we have enough to go linear, so I think I'll go that route. And then for the sizing, so we could go that way. Looking at the stack up, I think probably doing the two ends, and I'm getting that silhouette edge, that little cylinder with the line through it. Shows me the silhouette edge. And then for reference, I want to go back to the center line and pick the opposite so that I get those. Drag out a little bit so it extends through the rest of the geometry. Hit OK. So looking pretty good on that one. Pin shouldn't be too much to that, so diameter. See if I can find that edge. There we go. Silhouette edge, 0.63. And then this one had a few more of those that came in under the format. Model items that came in. So this would be a good place to use the dimension filter. And with a little funnel, I can window pick, hit delete, and it leaves my geometry. F6 will turn it off, or I can come down and pick the icon again. And then we'll be into the smart dimension. And we're just going to go through and pick. See what we have there. So one of the notes, or when I was designing, producing this, was the possibility that there might be an internal radius. Let's make it up to 0.25. If needed. Okay, and then we can go back into our smart dimension. And we'll pick up from those points. Okay, so rough positioning all of the dimensions. Get as many of those in place, and the note was in effect applied to the view. So as I move the view, the note should travel with it. If it doesn't, then it was applied to the sheet, and we need to go back and check that one. But this should be okay. So again, rough positioning, there is a chamfer dimension. So under more dimensions, chamfer, I'm going to pick that edge and another edge. That's going to give me the notation for the 0.16. If I highlight it, now let's go back, right click, select, let the little box pop up, then I can give it the 2 times. And we'll position it again. Let's see, what are we missing? A diameter dimension. And then the radius. So maybe we'll go in with that one 2 times. Okay. And then off of the side to the vertical, 200, to the other side, and then we need an overall, and then to the center line. So notice that the orange and the blue are letting us change location. That's not really what I wanted to do right now, but that gives me gives me the option for those extension lines. So kind of center those up a little bit, and then one more dimension, and let's see if the whole call out is not on the more dimensions there. So we'll go back up to the annotations and find the whole call out. So since I use that one quite a bit, that might be one that I would go search for in the tools list and find a place to put it on the S key or one of those. So yep, still not seeing it. So if we were to make a modification, that might be a good modification to or customization to the part. So that has a little more bold to it. So Gothic 13, don't see the bold highlighted. It's still in none, but we have a slight and color is darker than the gray. So let's see if there is something that pops up. So with the note, if we go into those colors, yeah, it's in the darker. Let's switch it over to a gray. And really our layers and the dimension layers would would take care of that for us. All right, so keeping on with the process, smart dimension, and these are through, assume through. And since it's on the center line, we can also make an assumption that it's assumed horizontally or aligned horizontally. And picking edges, nope, that one already have a diameter. So from there to there, select, we can position that a little bit better. All right, and I'm not too worried about missing dimensions. You know, this being the second pass is to get the majority of them, majority of the dimensions in place, and then we'll come back on the third pass and start to look at tolerances and catch those things that we might have missed. Okay, so overall, I'm just going through and picking, and then an overall dimension. Nope. Control Z. Get back into the dimension. Missed it again. All right, so second time I'm going to go ahead and zoom up on it and make sure that I'm highlighting and some of those visual icons are not getting in my way. And if that one's the front, then the other two should move with it, or the primary view, I guess would be a better way to say it. Okay, we mentioned the break lines. So with that view highlighted and in the annotation, is it? No, it's going to be under the drawing. I want to break the view. And then we have the different break line styles with a gap of 0.39 or 10 millimeter. So if we position the first one, position the second one, and it would be nice if the top did the same thing, but maybe not. I'm not sure if I've done that before. So anyway, with it broke, now I can get rid of that view and project a side view. Maybe that makes a little more sense with the smaller envelope going. All right, so with the broken view and the dimensions, we're still going to be able to, and since it did not put the center marks in for some reason, I need to jump over, pick for the center mark. All right, so let's just go for holes. selecting for the view, so I'm not sure why it's not not allowing for that one. Interesting. Don't know that I've run into that one before, so let's try one more time. For all holes, pick the view and accept it. Yeah, maybe the break did modify something there. So, well, we can go Smart Dimension and Overall. And Place. Well, okay, I did not expect reference dimension from current set of items. Really? So that's interesting. I've never had the problems with the break view before. All right, so assuming that the break view is the issue, we'll highlight, go to drawing 17, drawing view 17. Make sure that that's the one that's highlighted. 18. And under one of these, it should show the break. Now let's go ahead and rebuild it. Since there's rebuild sign there, don't know that that would cause it, but still not allowing it. So let's right-click and unbreak the view, and we'll get rid of our break lines. And it's showing up, so I'm going to have to look into that one. Not quite sure what's going on. Now that did a center at the points. Alright, so center marks for all holes. Still not finding it. Well, let's see if we can apply dimensions. This is going to be one of those weird cases that it's doing everything but. Alright, and then if I hold down the shift, I can get the overall. You kind of have to decide, well, the radius of 200, we could make that a full R. We could also put in the width. We're going to be on the edge of the duplicate dimensions here. So radius of 200, and then the hole size, so 2 times there. And 2 times there, or like saying was, if we were to do away with the dim value, so let me have it out there. Alright, so overwriting values, yes, I want to continue. That was also the do not show again. Alright, so we either have a note that is full radius or R is related to the thickness of what we end up with as the width of our part. And then smart dimension, diameter, length of the rod. And looking for that corner, or that silhouette edge. And then we have probably the full radius again. So smart dimension, put in the width. And the rapid dimensioning, that little dot dot is set to there. When it starts getting in my way, I'll go check it, especially if I'm not really utilizing it. So 0.63, we have the 0.47, that one's through. and then back to the annotation for the whole call out, and then we should be able to pick that one up with its depth and location. Alright, so famous last word said this probably shouldn't take as long, but ran into a few issues, unexpected issues, which is kind of par for the course, but that makes a good second pass.